Baseball is a simple game. It's really just see ball, hit ball, run around, catch the ball, throw the ball, and sometimes you gotta dive, get a little bit dirty, who cares? And even the scoring is extremely easy to understand. The team with the most hits usually generates the most runs and wins the game, and if your pitching is dominant enough to get a no-hitter, you're guaranteed a win, right? Well, about that, the answer is no, and that's quite surprising to me and to you listening at home, I'm sure, because in MLB history, there have been over 200,000 games played, and 322 of those games were no-hitters. In MLB games where one of the teams got 0 hits, the team throwing the no-hitter has actually lost 6 times. And Major League Baseball officially defines a no-hitter as a completed game in which a team that batted in at least 9 complete innings recorded no hits. A pitcher prevents the opposing team from achieving a hit is thereby said to have thrown a no-hitter. And I wanted to read that before anyone starts throwing rocks at my window and tries to debate me on this. That's the official term, and that's what we're working with today. These are the stories of those 6 teams that did the unthinkable, and if you're a little bit weird like me, you might think this is the coolest thing in baseball. And as always, I'll keep this short and sweet. My name is IcyVert. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, as it helps me and everyone here at Raving Sports know what type of content you guys like to see, and it keeps us encouraged to keep pumping out videos for you all. Let's take it from the top, starting with rookie pitcher and Reds flamethrower, Hunter Greene. As just last year on May 15th, 2022, Greene took the mound in Pittsburgh versus the Pirates, and little did he know the near unthinkable would happen. And no, I'm not just talking about him throwing a no-hitter in a game that he would evidently lose. I'm talking about the fact that he threw a no-hitter in a game that he came into sporting a 7.62 ERA, and the Reds as a team held a combined 6.18 ERA that day. But I don't want to clown on the Reds and Hunter Greene for having poor ERAs too much, because for this one particular game, Greene was on a different level and he showed his potential of an elite pitcher. And he was just flat out dominant this game, using his electric fastball to get ahead on counts. He struck out 9 in his first 7 innings, and surprisingly to some, he was trotted back out for the 8th inning, but that would not last very long. He would get the leadoff batter out, but then the second and third batters of the inning would both get walked, thus putting a man in scoring position. Greene would get pulled after throwing a MLB season high 118 pitches on the day for the 2022 season. And reliever Art Warren came into the game and immediately gets a double play ball, ending the, he walked batter Ben Gamel on 4 straight pitches, loading the bases. Ben Gamel this season, I believe, batted about .230 for the year. So not exactly ideal to do that in that situation. With now 1 out and the bases loaded, Ke'Bryan Hayes then proceeds to ground out into a fielder's choice, allowing the lone run of the inning to score. Then headed to the 9th inning, the Reds had a chance to tie or take the lead, but unfortunately the 9-25 Reds at the time shockingly went down 1-2-3, thus losing this game 1-0, all while pitching a gem of a game and no-hitting the Pirates. Now we arrive at Dodger Stadium on June 28th, 2008, when the Angels took on the Dodgers, and our main characters here is a young Jared Weaver and Jose Arredondo, who of course threw a no-hitter on this day, all while coming up short on the scoreboard. Weaver, like the rest of the pitchers in this video, was going strong through the first 4 innings, but unknowingly would give up the sole and losing run in the 5th inning after Matt Kemp reached on base via an error, as he would hit a weakly hit ground ball towards the pitcher, and Weaver was unable to field it, allowing there to be a base runner on first with no hits. With Blake DeWitt batting, Kemp stole second, and then he got to third due to a poor throw that reached the outfield, and DeWitt hit a sac fly, and then all of a sudden, the Angels were now losing 1-0, all while maintaining a no-hitter. And obviously, Weaver would go on to finish his night strong, going 6 full innings, with 3 walks and 6 strikeouts and 1 earned run to his name. But as we know, this no-hit story does not end on a happy note. Reliever Jose Arredondo came out of the bullpen with 2 scoreless, hitless innings with 3 strikeouts, allowing the game to stay at 1-0, but unfortunately for the Angels, they were unable to get the run and lost this game 1-0. After the game, when asked about this, Jared Weaver gave a pretty interesting quote saying, "I'm sure you guys are going to eat this up a lot more than I am, as I don't consider this a no-hitter for me," which says a lot about how a guy might feel after throwing a no-hitter and getting a loss, effectively wiping out any joy that there could be for having one of the more illustrious stat lines in all of baseball. Red Sox pitcher Matt Young is the 3rd pitcher on my list to get struck down by this terrible misfortune on April 12th, 1992 versus the then Cleveland Indians, which I must say legally I apologize for calling them that. I know it's banned and that's not good, but if you made it to this part of the video, let me know. Do you like the name change for the Guardians? I think it's a great and a fantastic name. So yeah, just leave a comment. Sorry for that. My ADHD kicked in and we went a different direction. But let's get back on track. As Young demonstrated his pitching prowess by going the full 8 innings in this game, losing 2-1, but the road to losing is a rather interesting one, so let's talk about it. And really, the main reason for this loss can be directly pointed at Matt Young's struggle with his control this game, as he would walk 7 total batters, and it all started in the first inning when he issued a walk to the leadoff hitter Kenny Lofton, and his subsequent base stealing power allowed him to steal second and then eventually score thanks to a fielder's choice. Cleveland took the early 1-0 lead and never looked back. As we move on to the third inning, Young's struggles would continue as he issued 2 more walks, and a stolen base allowed for Cleveland to have a runner in scoring position, and Carlos Baerger's fielder's choice allowed the Indians to score, making it 2-0 without recording a single hit. The Red Sox did manage to get a run back in the 4th inning, but unfortunately for them, that's all they would get for this game. Despite his amazing individual achievement of a no-hitter through 8 innings, Young maintained a level-headed perspective after the game, recognizing that the loss was the ultimate outcome. As he reflected, much like Jared Weaver, he said, quote, "A no-hitter's supposed to be where you strike out the last guy and the catcher comes out and jumps in your arms. A loss, however, is a loss." So yeah, this really puts into perspective a pitcher's view on having a no-hitter and losing, and it's safe to say they all hate it. And now quickly, I want to pivot from Major League Baseball and drop down all the way to AA baseball and talk about my favorite instance of this exact occurrence happening when just this year, on April 8th, 2023, the Rocket City Trash Pandas actually lost the game 7-5, and they threw a no-hitter. But even worse, they gave up all 7 runs in just one disastrous inning, and let's talk about that. Quickly, I'll start. Let's get rid of the boring stuff. This game, it was a 7-inning game. It was a doubleheader, and in minor league baseball, all doubleheaders are 7-inning games to clear that up, and it was the top of the 7th inning as the Lookouts were batting against the Trash Pandas. The Trash Pandas would go on to do maybe the craziest thing in all of baseball. As they were leading 3-0, they proceeded to do this. They walked the first batter, they walked the second batter, third batter popped out, 4th batter walked, and now the 5th batter struck out, giving the Trash Pandas 2 outs on the inning and just needed 1 more to win the game. But that wouldn't fit my story. The 6th batter walked, the 7th batter reached via an error, allowing 2 runs to score, 8th batter was hit by pitch, 9th batter hit by pitch, 10th batter hit by pitch, yes, 3 straight hit by pitches, 11th batter walked, and during the 12th batter, a wild pitch was thrown, allowing it to be 7-3. The 12th batter was also hit by pitch, and the 13th batter struck out. So to quickly recap, 5 batters drew a walk, 4 batters were hit by pitch, and 1 scored via an error. In the bottom of the 7th inning, the Trash Pandas would go on to score 2 runs, but that wasn't enough, and they would lose, throwing a no-hitter with a score of 7-5. And if you can find a more impressive stat line than that, please send it to me because I don't think you can. That game was just ridiculous. Moving back to the major leagues, on July 1st, 1990, Andy Hawkins of the New York Yankees appeared to be on the cusp of a routine no-hit performance through 7 2/3 innings against the Chicago White Sox. Despite allowing 3 walks, he had not surrendered a hit or a run, effectively silencing the White Sox to this point. However, the game took a sudden turn with 2 outs in the 8th inning, and it all started when White Sox right fielder Sammy Sosa reached base due to an error by Yankees third baseman Mike Blowers. Sosa then swiped second base, but this turned out to be inconsequential as Hawkins proceeded to issue walks to the next 2 batters. Robin Ventura hit a fly ball that should have concluded the inning, but left fielder Jim Lieritz, a rookie primarily known as a catcher, dropped the ball, resulting in 3 runs to cross the plate. And remarkably, this was only Lieritz's 3rd major league game in left field and his 4th overall in the outfield through his entire 11-season career. And the scoring didn't just stop there. Ivan Calderon came up next with Ventura on second base. He hit a fly ball to right fielder Jesse Barfield. Barfield struggled against both the sun and the wind, dropping the ball, which allowed Ventura to score. In the 9th inning, a Yankees batter reached base on an error, but any hope for a late game comeback was extinguished when Barfield grounded into a game-ending double play, and the Yankees ultimately suffered a 4-0 loss despite Hawkins completing the entire game without conceding a hit or giving up an earned run. I repeat, the Yankees gave up 0 hits, and somehow lost 4-0. After the game, Hawkins reflected on the unusual turn of events that happened. He said, quote, "Everybody congratulated me, but after I gave up 4 runs and lost, I'm stunned that I threw a no-hitter, and I'm stunned that I got beat. I'll have to sleep on this." On April 30th, 1967, the elusive, "Oh, I threw a no-hitter today and lost," would happen once again. This time, the featured teams are the Detroit Tigers and the Baltimore Orioles. And the notable pitchers in our featured situation are Steve Barber and Stu Miller. Barber's stat line for this game was, you know, one of the stat lines of all time, that's for damn sure. He would go 8 2/3 innings and obviously no hits, but he gave up 10 walks, 2 runs scored, and 1 earned run with just 3 strikeouts. This game was scoreless through 7 innings, and the Orioles actually took a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the 8th inning, giving Steve Barber the chance to finish the game with a traditional no-hit victory. But if that were the case, I wouldn't be talking about this game right now, so let's talk about what happened. Fast forwarding to the 9th inning, Barber started the inning by doing the worst thing possible for himself by walking the first 2 batters he faced, Norm Cash and Ray Oyler. Earl Wilson would perfectly execute the sac bunt, advancing both their runners to second and third, and with Mickey Stanley batting, Barber threw a wild pitch, allowing the man on third to score, tying the game, and the man on second was able to advance to third. Barber then walked Stanley and was taken out of the game, and Miller came into pitch with a runner on first and third, and the first batter he faced grounded to the shortstop, but unfortunately they couldn't turn the double play as the second baseman couldn't secure the throw, and Oilers scored from third, thus allowing the Tigers to take the lead 2-1. In the bottom of the 9th inning, the Orioles had hopes of tying the game or winning, but quickly went down 1-2-3 as Frank Robinson popped out to third, Brooks Robinson flew out to left, and Mike Epstein would eventually strike out. So in the end, like the rest of the pitchers in this video, Steve Barber and Stu Miller gave up 0 hits, but were given the loss on the day. And of course, let's finish this video off with the first instance of this ever occurring and maybe the strongest pitching performance of the bunch. All the way back on April 23rd, 1964, Ken Johnson of the Houston Colt 45s took the mound versus the Cincinnati Reds, and unbeknownst to him, he would put up a stat line that to that day had never happened before. And Johnson was absolutely cruising this game with 9 strikeouts and only 2 walks issued heading into the top of the 9th inning, and obviously no hits. The inning started with Johnson getting the leadoff batter, Joe Nuxhall, to ground out to third base for the first out. Oh, and before you ask, yes, the Houston Astros used to be named after an actual gun, and this is the same Joe Nuxhall who was once a 15-year-old kid in the major leagues, which this is like naming your team the Philadelphia AR-15s. It's just absurd to me. Then came up future baseball legend Pete Rose, who was in just his 2nd season, and Johnson got Rose to roll a bunt to first base, but unfortunately the transfer throw resulted in an errant ball past first base, allowing Rose to pull up into second, thus getting a runner in scoring position. The next batter rolled a ground out, advancing Rose and creating the second out of the inning. How the runner advanced to third on a ground ball in front of him is honestly beyond me, but that's kind of late game shenanigans that you'll be able to find in extremely unique situations like this one. Unfortunately for Johnson, the unthinkable would happen when the 4th batter of the inning, Vada Pinson, would once again hit a ground ball right to the second baseman, who couldn't handle it, resulting in once again another error and allowed the run to score, and the batter reached first safely. With the score now at 1-0, Frank Robinson would then pop out to end the inning. 9 innings, 27 outs recorded, no hits, and he's down 1-0. The Colt 45s then had the chance to tie or walk off the Reds in the bottom of the 9th, but failed to do so. And quick side note, yes, that is the same Frank Robinson from the aforementioned game, so yeah, that guy was involved in 2 of these games, and that is just ridiculous to think about. In the end, a legendary and never before seen pitching performance was thrown by Ken Johnson, 9 innings, no hits, and no earned runs, but he went home with a 1-0 loss on his record. And because Johnson completed 9 hitless innings, and the game itself was 9 innings, he is actually the only official no-hitter on this entire list. He's in the books for having a real no-hitter and still lost. And afterwards, Johnson said, quote, "I pitched the best game of my life and still lost. That's a hell of a way to go in the record books," end quote. So yeah, that's all 6, some of the craziest games in Major League Baseball history. Which one's your favorite? Let me know. I hope you enjoyed. Take it easy.